This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Welcome to the current state of WWE. Everybody, it is Monday, February 26, 2024. We're here, as we always are, every single Monday night to talk the current state of WWE, what's going on, pick a topic or two, and dive deep into it. And that is Anthony DeMarco joining me in the co-host chair here. And Anthony, how you doing, man? And how are you enjoying WrestleMania season thus far? Now that there are no more PLEs, it's now through WrestleMania 40. It's a clear path.
Oh, yeah. Well, in the fast lane, and no pun intended for the former go-home pay-per-view to WrestleMania, 4 or 5 years ago, that thankfully went by the wayside. But no, it's a fun time in WWE. Obviously, a big round number of WrestleMania 40, billing it as one of the biggest WrestleManias of all time, which I think it has the potential to be. But I'm really anxious to see what this turns into here, because obviously they have a lot of balls in the air. We know the main event on both the men and women's side, like all 4 main events for the world titles across both genders are really all pretty much set at this point. And now it's all about filling in the, no, I don't want to say the scraps, but kind of insulating the main events. And seems like we're getting LA Knight versus AJ Styles. Seems like we're maybe getting Randy Orton versus Logan Paul. Who's to say what we're going to see from the Intercontinental Championship? Maybe that's Sami Zayn, but it's shaping up to be a very star-studded WrestleMania.
Yeah, some unexpected turns, as you said, with AJ and LA Knight. I have no issues with that, but there are no more roadblocks. See what I did there, everybody?
Nicely done.
Yeah, well see. No more roadblocks, I don't think. And so, yeah, I mean, but let's dive into it with our time here and how long my voice hold out, everybody. Let's see. But the mute button, by the way, is going to be my best friend throughout this show. So, all right, well, let's go. I mean, Rhea Ripley obviously was the star of the show, given it's her home country, her first time competing, especially as a women's champion in her home country. It was nowhere near where she actually lived, which apparently was 5 hours to the east in Australia. But nonetheless, still, for all intents and purposes, a homecoming for her and her family at ringside. She, obviously got a extremely positive reaction. The crowd was behind her every step of the way, and she retains against Nia Jax in a match that I thought was as good as it probably could have been, given the size difference and the limitations of Nia. I think they did a really nice job. But really, I mean, moreover, what to you, what are the impacts here of Rhea Ripley retaining, which is, I mean, extremely predictable, but as you move forward and now it's officially Becky who won the Chamber, how do you feel about this program? It's official now. We don't have to speculate. It's not Bianca Belair. It is Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley. How do you feel?
I mean, look, Rhea Ripley winning, obviously predictable, but the right choice. Her main eventing, absolutely the right choice. I mean, I said on my After Dark show that you could, and I've said it with you as well, that you can position Rhea Ripley as the face of the company right now, not just for the women, but as a whole. She could, in my opinion, surpass Roman and Cody and Seth and Rock, and nobody would bat an eye. That's how over Rhea Ripley is right now. Obviously, she's still a heel, positioned as a babyface for this isolated event because of where it took place. But I think Rhea Ripley is one of the biggest stars they have. And in my opinion, I think that they missed the boat here for this WrestleMania, that you could have built Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley to feel almost like, and I'm not trying to sound like hyperbolic here, but like Austin versus Rock, because even including Charlotte Flair and Becky and Bayley and Sasha and all the horsewomen and all the talented female wrestlers that have come before them, I think Bianca and Rhea come at a time where the women were already established. Like Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, Bayley, they helped establish the women's division. And athletically, Charlotte is probably right up there with the best of them. But Rhea and Bianca, to me, came right after them and have arguably more athletic ability than any of them, with maybe the possible exception of Charlotte Flair, although I think that Bianca and Rhea are stronger, that they're ready to really be the faces of the company. In a lot of ways they are. Like, they're on a lot of promotional ads and posters. They're on the WrestleMania poster, but like, I think you could have built to this being the main event of one of the two nights, if not the second night. Like, I think that it's that big. And with Becky winning, again, predictable, they're dropping Easter eggs of Becky versus Rhea going back to the beginning of January. I don't hate it, but I mean, it's well documented that I'm not a huge fan of Becky Lynch. I don't hate her. I'm just so not interested in her. And again, it's predictable. Like, I don't think Becky Lynch has more than a snowball's chance of hell of coming out as the women's world champion. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Predictability isn't always terrible, but I just think that they kind of missed the boat here with Bianca and Rhea. And look, Rhea, arguably more over than any superstar right now, definitely the most over of any female star. But Bianca has been spinning her tires a bit since probably she lost the WWE Women's Championship to Asuka last year in May, I believe it was. And I'm sure she'll find a relatively significant program, maybe with Jade Cargill. But the only critique I would have about this is that you're really, and I imagine they're going to do it eventually, but you're really kind of punting on a match on the female side of things that I think could arguably be bigger than anything on the men's side.
I was disappointed in the Becky victory, and not because, as you said, it's sure, star power wise, given the resume of Becky Lynch, she has a resume more impressive than a lot of the women on the roster, if not all of them, given everything she's done in the women's division. It is just, her character is just kind of flatlined right now. And I was hoping that last year, as I mentioned before, the night after WrestleMania, the Raw after, they teased Rhea and Bianca. They actually, that was the one thing I remember from that Raw that was a big dud. Other than that was they were both champions coming out of WrestleMania, and they had a confrontation, kind of foreshadowing for, oh, okay, this is their plan for next year's WrestleMania. Now, a lot has happened between the last year's WrestleMania and this WrestleMania with management changes and ownership, of course, all that. But I was hoping that they would maintain that plan, and they haven't. I mean, as you alluded to, they have been going with Becky and Rhea for months now, given the buildup. And you only had Becky Lynch. It sealed it to me when Becky Lynch appeared at the press conference in Vegas, where they essentially said, hey, yeah, this is going to be Becky versus Rhea at WrestleMania. Why the hell else would they have a mega press conference with Becky interrupting Rhea for mommy versus the man? They've already created the slogans for it. They've probably already come up with the marketing material. So it's already kind of a formality with Becky Lynch in the chamber. Now, I still thought there was hope. I'm a big fan of Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair too. I've seen what they can do in the ring, and we haven't seen them cross paths in any physical capacity since the Royal Rumble a few years ago, when they were the last two women involved, ultimately Rhea Ripley winning, going on to, I think, challenge Charlotte Flair. But so it's been a long time, and they haven't had a proper program on the main roster yet. But maybe the reason is that they don't want maybe Rhea Ripley, or rather Bianca Belair, getting booed, because I don't care really who opposes Becky or Rhea Ripley. That person's probably either going to get booed, or they're just going to get overwhelmed with the cheers for Rhea Ripley. I feel like we're just starting this title reign with Rhea. It feels like the first 6 months, we're kind of lost in the Judgment Day. There wasn't a whole lot of attention on it. She had challengers here and there, but none of them were significant. None of them really felt that meant that much. And all of a sudden, the last few months, it's been like, okay, here we go. Really, since SummerSlam. All right, here we go. Now it feels like we're getting into the Rhea Ripley reign. There is just zero reason to take the belt off of Rhea when her momentum is just starting. And as you said, she is, if not she could be just the face of the company right now.
Yeah, it's a point well founded. And look, this is going to be a big match. Obviously, Becky has cemented herself as one of the most influential female superstars in the history of the company, won the first ever main event of WrestleMania that featured the women. And I'm just hoping that this doesn't get overshadowed by Rock and Roman and Cody and Seth and even Drew McIntyre now getting involved with the world title. Like, I just want them to make sure that, or I want to make sure that they're not going to bury this down the card. Like, it already feels like Bayley and Io might get buried down the card just because from the lack of star power. Obviously, they're going to try and compensate with storytelling in that particular program. But for me, it's really just about, you have a star here in Rhea Ripley, and I don't think Bianca Belair is that far off. But just the last 12 months, she seemed kind of bland, mostly not to her own doing, but Rhea Ripley's on a different planet right now, that you could book the women in a prominent position. And I was so happy to see them main event the show, because it had been a while, it felt like, since the women main evented the show. And obviously there were extenuating circumstances. You're in Australia, Rhea comes from there and all that. But I think that Rhea's at a point now, and especially now to your point, that the last few months they've been giving her formidable opponents. Like Nia Jax, like, you could throw all the shade at her you want. She's done a good job since returning, and kudos to Triple H to really maximizing Nia Jax's value. But Rhea Ripley is being built now as someone that, in my opinion, can main event shows and should main event shows. And I just want to make sure, or I hope that they make sure that they don't squander that. And look, with Becky, I only expect Becky to win. I imagine it's going to feel like a passing of the torch moment. But in my head, I'm just like, did they not already kind of do that with Rhea Ripley last year, dethroning Charlotte Flair? Like, it just kind of feels like they're repeating history a bit, but with a different, I don't want to call Becky a legacy star, but like, her and Charlotte are kind of like the elder stateswomen of the division. And it feels like Rhea Ripley did that last year already with Charlotte Flair. And I would have almost preferred to see like a megastar versus a megastar, like two wrestlers in their primes. And again, I don't want to sound like hyperbole, but like, for you, Matt, like, do you not think Bianca and Rhea could kind of like emulate a bit of what Rock and Austin meant to the men's division like 20 plus years ago, but for the women?
Sure. I mean, not at, of course, that magnitude may never be reached in wrestling again, but it's the same dynamic. It's the same. I totally understand the concept that you're trying to emulate here. That's exactly what this is. And Rhea Ripley is she has the same kind of build. She's a power driven, but also has the combination of speed, kind of that rare combination, ultra athletic. I would still say, and I stand by it, that Bianca Belair may be the best pure athlete that WWE has in the women's division. She's incredible. Her character could use a little bit of tweaking, but overall she's incredible. So you put that against Rhea Ripley. I mean, that feels, just in my mind, that's a WrestleMania 40 match. That's a match I actually don't know the outcome of. You look at Becky Lynch. Yeah, she is, I think that's a good term. She is one of the elder stateswomen of the women's division, but also when you look at this, Becky Lynch is the underdog. She's a pretty heavy underdog, not just because it makes sense Rhea retains, just in her momentum lately. Becky Lynch has been kind of slowly going up, but over the last year, it's been very boring. It just has. And you look at Rhea Ripley, she's been nothing but on a rocket ship, and it's not even a passing of the torch anymore. Like you said, it's more of just Rhea should win. I mean, Becky Lynch is a big underdog in this matchup from a physical standpoint. Rhea Ripley's already been anointed, like you said, at WrestleMania before. We don't need to go through the whole holding up each other's hands out of mutual respect and pointing to the person like an actual symbolic passing of the torch. I don't need any of that. That's well past Rhea Ripley. To me, that would be a slap in the face, as if she hasn't already arrived. She's been here a long time now. She has been the face, one of the faces of the division and of the company for several months now. I don't need that symbolic. To me, that would be like, yeah, this was so like 2022. I don't need this anymore. So I hope they don't do that. But Becky Lynch should lose. I mean, just outright. Becky Lynch lost fair and square to Nia Jax a month ago on Raw. So Becky Lynch isn't exactly racking up the victories lately. And so I don't know. I feel like when you look at this, Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair is a Rock Austin equivalent of the women's division in 2024. So I don't know what the holdup is. Perhaps it is Jade Cargill that they want to have work with Bianca Belair. I don't know, but on paper, absolutely, and it becomes a much more unpredictable match when you look at Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. When you put those two together, I think it's more star power, more unpredictability. I think it's just a match that we haven't seen before, and I don't know what they're waiting for. WrestleMania 40, I mean, it's right here, ready for the taking. But I guess they have that ace in their back pocket for when they want to use it.
Yeah, and for sure, like you still have a ton of tread left on the tires of Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley, 100%. So it's not like you're squandering this, like you squandered maybe Seth and Roman or whatever. But it's just, to me, and I don't want to dump all over Becky Lynch here. And like I said, she's not my cup of tea, but I don't hate her. But it just feels like we're supposed to care because of what she did 5 years ago. That's what it kind of feels like. Like, I wasn't a huge fan of Becky Lynch 5 years ago when she did the Becky 2 belts, and I always talk about when I saw her live, and she's just like, I'm the chomp chomp, and it was weird. I didn't like it, but I understood that I was in the minority, like I am with a lot of wrestling takes, so I respected it. She came back, then she did the big time Bex as the heel, feuded with Bianca Belair, kind of put over Bianca Belair 2 years ago at WrestleMania 38 in maybe the same fashion that they're kind of trying to position Becky versus Rhea now. But it's just like a lot of wind has been taken out of the sails of Becky Lynch. Like, and again, like, I'm not trying to diminish what she's meant to the division or diminish her star power for that matter, but I just feel like it's not a bad match, but you had a better one at your fingertips. And now what's Bianca going to do? Have a one-on-one match with Jade Cargill? Yeah, like, for sure, that's a high-profile match, and I would argue that of the three main women's match, if that in fact is where they go, I would argue that's the one that's the most unpredictable if you include Bayley versus Io, but there's no title on the line. So it was a peculiar decision for where they wanted to go with this. Well, I guess it's not peculiar because it's a low-hanging fruit. We saw it coming a mile away. They kept them so far apart, and in the last several weeks, they've been like always crossing paths. So you saw it coming a mile away. It's just more like, is it that big of a deal? Like, I feel like they're trying to present it as like this huge deal, like Becky versus Rhea, but I'm just not seeing it. And maybe it's because I'm caught up on like, well, what is Bianca doing? Like, not to say I'm a massive Bianca fan, but I recognize the talent. And like you said, you could argue that men and women, both sides, she's the best pure athlete they have. Like, she is a one-of-a-kind unicorn type of athlete that they have. And you're just going to, I don't want to say throw her away, but put her on the outskirts of the title scene after she arguably carried your division for 2 years, like right through COVID and coming out the backside of it. So I don't want to dump on Becky versus Rhea. I just recognize that they're, and arguably I'm advocating for the alternative, which I think would have been way better.
Yeah, and to put a bow on this women's side before we move over to the men and talk about that, is that, Becky Lynch, you're right. It does feel like I'm trying to, and WWE is trying to sell us on this match being bigger than it actually feels. Like, the reality of seeing these two face-to-face versus what they're telling us it means don't match up. Like, they're telling us how big of a confrontation this is going to be. It's mommy versus the man. All these, like, cute little taglines, and I'm like, yeah, like, it'll be fine, but I don't get the WrestleMania feeling from this. I don't get, like, oh my God, they're finally colliding type of feeling. I just get, like, okay, yeah, I guess,
okay,
it's gonna
cool.
happen. Yeah, cool. I'll watch it. It'll be a good match. It'll be a fun match, and Rhea will probably win. I mean, that's it. Instead of, oh my God, we haven't seen these two one-on-one on the main roster yet. Power for power, similar styles, both seem unstoppable. And who's going to win? I mean, that is what it should feel like, and we're not getting that with our Becky and Rhea. But you know what? You can save big matches for down the line, of course. You know, SummerSlam seems to be the next big stop, but you can do it at other events, Money in the Bank. I mean, Saudi events, they're not shameful of putting big matches on. So maybe they have another ace in the hole that ace in the hole they're going to use down the line. But yeah, I would agree. It does feel a little bit like kind of like it feels like it's a big match, but it's one that's like, I feel like we've seen this, and Becky Lynch is not that hot right now. And you're right. It feels like she's just replaying the same thing from 2018 or 2019 when she main evented WrestleMania 35. So yeah, it's like, I don't know. I don't hate it. Becky just ultimately, here's the thing. Becky Lynch just needs a tweak or an overhaul. I don't know. She's not in danger. It's just kind of like her character needs an injection of something, and I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's a heel turn. I don't know if it's a small improvement. I just know it's not one of the hats that she tried to point out this past week as something that, and I think it was actually a response to criticism from fans that she hasn't really changed anything. It was more of just kind of a shot to those people like us that are talking about it.
Yeah, well, shifting over to the world heavyweight scene, another relatively predictable victory of Drew McIntyre, but again, not the wrong choice, just a predictable choice. My fear here is that Drew McIntyre gets overshadowed and overlooked because so much of Seth Rollins' attention is on a program that he has no involvement in. I guess tangibly, he has no involvement in. It's a SmackDown program for a world title that he has tried to bury and present as beneath the world title that he's carrying. And for me, I'm saying, like, I understand why they've done that with Seth, but we've discussed it, like, by him being so invested into the Roman Cody stuff, it's almost like inadvertently thrown shrapnel at the World Heavyweight Championship. And now Drew, who is arguably the most intriguing character in WWE right now, I want to make sure that this program and Drew specifically isn't buried.
Yeah, Drew McIntyre, that's a good way to put him. He is the most interesting by far, and it's crazy how just a small change in his character where he really isn't, he hasn't completely changed who he is at his core. He's lucking into victories. He's being villainized because he decides that he wants to take advantage of situations that really he had nothing to do with, like especially in the Chamber and other matches on Raw. He just happens to be on the receiving end of, maybe the Bloodline attacking his opponent. Well, that's not his fault. So he's lucking into these victories. He's not cheating to win. He's not using brass knucks like Logan Paul. He's not blowing. He's just doing what he needs to do to win, and that's what you should do as a competitor, yet somehow he's doing it in a way that makes you root against him. And all of it's just brilliant. But you're right. The whole overshadowing of Seth Rollins' championship it's taken a hit. I mean, it's absolutely taken a hit since The Rock came back. And the whole focus has been on the Undisputed Championship, although The Rock keeps calling it the Universal. He's done it like a few times now. But nonetheless, it still has hurt the world title, a title that I feel like at this point, this close to WrestleMania, I should care much more about the World Championship, the actual belt, than I do. It can be repaired, but I mean, I'm worried too a little bit for Drew. I mean, maybe in the match with Seth, as we get closer to it, that we get we get the scenario where, well, Drew's going to win, but Damian Priest is going to cash in. I mean, I don't know if that is going to be the way they go. I know it's kind of an early prediction, but Damian Priest, we're getting close to the end of his run here with that Money in the Bank briefcase. He's got to cash it in at some point. But Drew's whole narrative going into this is, I'm going to get the victory that I should have gotten at WrestleMania 36 4 years ago in front of nobody. So I know that's kind of his redemption story right now.
Yeah, I know everyone's pointing to Damian Priest. I think Drew will win for what you just outlined. I think he deserves it, and they bypassed him at Clash at the Castle a year and a half ago. He's really taken a backseat, and he's been an unsung hero for me for the last several years. He's been one of my preferred wrestlers for quite some time. To your point, one of the better, more intriguing characters, one that just makes sense, like a logical, realistic character of the last several weeks or months. I think he'll get a short run. I do think Damian Priest will cash in. I think they're going to stretch this Damian Priest thing out almost right to the borderline, which is a nice change of pace because usually it's within 3-4 months that they do the cash in, win or lose. And it feels like maybe aside from Edge, the first ever Money in the Bank holder, this might be the longest. And Edge waited all the way until early January after winning it in early April. So I think Drew's going to have a short-lived run with the world title, but I think he should win, and I don't think he should be cashed in on. Because for me, I think we're ready for a Drew McIntyre world champion in front of a crowd, even if it's as a heel. But I think people want to see it because we're seeing how talented he is. The Seth run has been good. I'm kind of over it. I think Seth needs to go away for a few months, both physically and for his character. And for Drew McIntyre, he deserves that win. I know some people may say, well, oh, no, you can't make booking decisions based on circumstances from 4 years ago. You can, but it's not like you're taking Drew out of like the lower mid card. He hasn't been feuding with Akira Tozawa. Like he has really been building to this. So I think if you take everything into consideration, he should win, but I don't expect it to be a long title reign and for Damian Priest to cash in probably by June or so.
Yeah, I would definitely do that too because I don't need the shock value of it happening at WrestleMania. Oh my God, it's the world title match. We've seen that before with Seth, but to have it happen to Seth would be kind of apropos or poetic, as they say, to have Seth be the one to have cashed in on. I mean, they could do it, but I hope they don't. Just really for the human part of this, of Drew does actually deserve this as a person, not a character, but all the times that he's had, winning the Rumble, eliminating Brock Lesnar back, in 2020, and then all of a sudden, wham, COVID hits, and he is in front of nobody facing Brock Lesnar. And I mean, I felt awful for the guy. I mean, I'm sure he felt just gutted that it didn't happen in front of people. Now, he's not a babyface right now, but still gets the moment in front of 70,000 people. I think he's absolutely deserving of it. And he's been one of the most constant, just consistently, I mean, never has a bad match ever. His character has evolved, as you said, in a realistic way. It's not outlandish. It's not unbelievable of a turn. It's just kind of this slow evolution of Drew.
Organic.
Yes, it's just small changes have totally shifted the outlook on Drew McIntyre and the shirts he's come up with and the slogans he's come up with and the line about him praying for Punk to be injured. All of it is brilliant. And you know what? When Punk comes back, it's possible that Drew is still world champion because Punk said he's coming for Drew upon his return, which lines up around June.
Unless with Damian Priest, he cashes in on presumably Cody Rhodes. And because I would imagine the draft is coming shortly after WrestleMania, because like, could they possibly do that where Cody Rhodes' title win? And I'm just assuming that he's going to win the world title because, as you've mentioned, we don't have to dive into this. That's for another show. But assuming Cody Rhodes wins the world or the Undisputed Championship, like, is there any way they could have Damian cash in within a few months?
I mean, they could, sure. I mean, this has been one of the longest runs with the briefcase that I've seen in a long time. It creates a lot of like, okay, he's running out of time, but they could do that. I mean, I'm looking at the Money in the Bank event. The next one is July 6th of 2024. So that's the next one. I think Drew or Damian did win it. I think was it in June or July last year?
It was early July.
So early July. So around the same time. So he's got a little more time than I thought. So it's February. It's almost early April. He's got
4
3 months to change. Yeah. So that does lead us to, a time where we could have a nice run with Drew where he's uninterrupted, but eventually, yeah, Damian's going to cash in, but it could be on Cody. I mean, I can't believe we haven't talked much about Cody, which we normally do on the show, but it could be on Cody Rhodes. I just don't know, as you said, if they're having a draft or not, but to them, the draft rules don't matter anyway. So.
Well, I mean, and we'll shift it back to Drew because we wanted to kind of switch it up for this show. I think that we're ready for this. Like, I really think a Drew McIntyre is a world champion. Not to say that he has to have a 9-month run like Seth Rollins, but I think he deserves it. I think like that he has paid his dues like twice over. He hasn't held a world title or a title in any fashion for 3 years since he lost it to, I think it was a cash-in of The Miz 3 years ago, back when it was still the Thunderdome. I mean, he had a WrestleMania match against Baron Corbin 2 years ago. He was in the triple threat of with the IC Championship, arguably the best match of both nights last year with Gunther and Sheamus. Like, he has taken a back seat for the better part of 2 years here. And I think that he's really rebuilt himself and he's earned the right to be the next world champion on Monday Night Raw. Like, I think people are invested in him. Like you said, he's a constant. He has the look. He's amazing in the ring. He's great on the mic. You already have a built-in story with CM Punk upon CM Punk's return. Like, for me, like that, like it's all written here for Drew McIntyre, like figuratively, obviously, literally it is written, but figuratively it's also written as well. Like, it's like a story that, I'm not trying to steal this from Cody Rhodes, but it's like a big roundabout story for him to finish 4 years later. And this is not me dumping on Seth Rollins, but it just feels like it's time.
Arguably, Drew McIntyre's story is much more interesting and deserving than Cody's little story he tried to create 2 years ago when he came and made the speech about his dad. And honestly, I think Drew's is much more intriguing and much more deserving than just because, oh, my dad never won the belt. I mean, here we go on Cody, but I'll stop. So the only question I have to wrap it up for the show is, in the match with Seth, as we look forward to it, and hopefully it stays one-on-one, I think it will. Do you think that Drew is going to have help there? Do you think it's going to be one of the fluke victories? He just continues to get these fluke victories of other people attacking his opponent during the match or whatnot? Or do you think they'll just outright allow Drew to beat Seth clean?
I'm a big proponent of no monkey business at WrestleMania. Like, even if the heel is going to win, just have the heel win outright. Kind of like what Rhea Ripley did last year, or The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 19. Like, if the heel is going to win, just have him win. That's it. Like, WrestleMania for me, no monkey business. I've always been like that. Like Brock Lesnar defeating Undertaker. There was no monkey business. That solidifies somebody. In my opinion, that's what they should do. Will they do it? Well, I mean, we've seen the avenue they've taken with Roman Reigns, but I don't know if they do the tag team match the first night. You can play on the fact that Seth Rollins is injured for the second night with Drew, assuming it is the second night with Drew. But for me, I would say clean victory, especially where you want to position Drew. And I would imagine that Seth Rollins is going to take a bit of a backseat, or I guess rest up a bit, both emotionally and physically because of his back. But for me, it would just be clean. What about you?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, we've become accustomed to heels always having to cheat to win, or getting lucked into victory, or doing something behind the referee's back, or just something that's wonky. But the idea that you have a heel that is just bigger and stronger and better than a babyface is sometimes, I think, more impressive and more believable, and makes you want to see that heel get taken down even more. I mean, just because you're a bad guy doesn't mean you're not as talented or even more talented than your opponent. I know that they're trying to sell you on, he's got his moral compass is screwed up and he's willing to do anything to win. But Drew outright beating Seth actually would be more redemptive, I think, than having a luck victory or some weird thing, or Seth gets fake injured and they have to stop the match and award him the belt. I mean, none of that. I would outright have him beat him, because the last 3 matches that they've had, Seth has beaten him outright. I mean, don't forget, that was a program not too long ago in which they had a series of matches, really, really good ones, that, Seth won and beat Drew clean. So I think this would be a way to have Seth kind of pay it forward or pay it back to Drew on a big stage that Drew is more than deserving of.
Would you have Drew McIntyre win?
Yes. I would have him outright beat Seth, and then even after the match, to keep him heel, where they go for a handshake, then he kicks him right in the nuts. I mean, I really would. I mean, just where you think maybe he's seen the light. They had such a competitive match, and then just looks at him, kicks him right in the nuts, and holds up the belt. I mean, that's what I would do to keep him a heel. Yes, yeah. That's exactly what I would do.
No, so, I agree. And look, all I'm hoping for here is that's not overshadowed by the bloodline and the Cody stuff. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, and obviously, maybe we can talk eventually when we know about the Cody Rhodes versus The Rock match, which is going to happen. I don't know when or how or where, but it is. So, obviously a nice little break here from our typical conversation about Cody, Rock, and Roman. And, talking about other topics that really, there's so much we haven't talked about because we focus so much on The Rock and Cody and Roman. But, all right, I think we'll end it there. And my voice is holding up by a thread, so I will say goodnight, and thank you so much for joining me, man. We will be chatting in a week.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to it, and take care of that cold. It feels like you've been sick for several months now.
Yeah, thank my kids. I like I said, I think they set up a little Wuhan lab in my house. All right. Take care.
Have a good one, bud.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.